Okay. Hello and welcome to the Footy Times. What was supposed to be the Premier League review show, but obviously a lot has happened in the past week with the rise and very quick fall of the European Super League, which incidentally we did speak about in one of our podcasts about a year ago. The link's in the description, so please check that out when you can. And I remember saying that there were murmurs of this. It's been going on for a while, right? I mean, we knew that something like this was in the works. I remember saying that I hope it would never happen and we'd kind of deal with it when it did. And it did happen and it just came out of the blue. I think none of us expected it the way it happened. We saw, stuff floating on Twitter that an announcement was going to happen. And even then there was hope amongst a lot of people that it's just probably a bargaining tool with UEFA. It could even be just a rumor. But then they actually did make an official announcement. And yeah, in case you didn't know what it was, it's basically these big six clubs in England and a few other big clubs across Europe. That's Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and
Atletico Madrid.
am I missing anything? Yeah, Atletico. Yeah, so these clubs decided that they'd just break away from their well, not the domestic competition. It was supposed to be an alternative to the Champions League, but it would probably have led from a ban from the domestic competitions. But basically, they proposed a league where they just break away from UEFA and create their own competition, which is essentially a closed shop, which has these 12 teams. There were supposed to be three more permanent members. I think it was Bayern, Dortmund, and PSG, who turned it down for various reasons because Germany, they have the 50+1 model, and obviously the PSG chairman was part of the ECA, so out of loyalty, he turned it down as well. So it was supposed to be these 15 clubs and five more, which they didn't exactly offer more details on who they would be, who would probably join and enter and exit based on supposed
They would
merit.
actually join on merit. Yeah,
that was merit. Like, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's just a horrendous idea, and the fact that Arsenal and Tottenham are part of that 15. Tottenham are barely, I mean, not well, Tottenham who are probably won't even get into the Europa League, and Arsenal who won't even get into the top half, most likely, the way things are going. They were actually going to be permanent members, and there was no relegation. They would just be there season after season, no matter how shit they were. Like, it is just a horrendous idea. I mean, like Pep Guardiola said, and so many people have said that there is no sport. Actually, I mean, even in life, there is nothing without merit. You can't just be given something; you have to earn it. So I think that was one of the main things. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, for me, as a fan, what attracts me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, as an overseas fan, is the history and prestige of these football clubs and sort of the connection with the community and the social fabric. And to just rip that away, for me, it was just absolutely, yeah, I don't have words at this point. I'm still fuming. Uh, but obviously, the fans reacted and, they had to backtrack. I don't know. It looked like they didn't even think it through. So, what did you guys think? I mean, what were your thoughts?
Can I jump in quickly here? So
Sure.
just going back to the social fabric thing, right? As in, I can give my own experience. So I have seen a Manchester United match in near San Francisco, which is a friendly match with AC Milan, I think. And I have also been fortunate enough to visit Old Trafford and see a match against Crystal Palace. I would any day of my life prefer a match of Manchester United against Crystal Palace in Old Trafford against even a Manchester United and a Real Madrid as an exhibition match. It was horrible. I would, as in, and it was the ticket prices were in fact more for that stupid exhibition match where they subbed off the entire team on the halftime, and because it didn't matter, as in that was pretty much the bottom of it. It didn't matter. But the game against Crystal Palace, although it was shit, it was 0-0. It was like that time where it was United were doing very, very poorly under Mourinho, but the atmosphere was something that was just incredible. And yeah, being an overseas fan, being in the States, it has no comparison. And yeah, as in, it was good to see that the factions between the fans of, like, you not being a local and still supporting the club, all that did not come in the way of these of against the protest against ESL. and fans for once across clubs were united. That very seldomly happens. So that was definitely a pleasant change. But it is still very, very scary to imagine that this could go under the radar and an announcement such so big can just come out. Uh, and that just goes to point out the powers these owners have. Uh, and and the lack of powers probably the fans have. I guess two ways of looking at it. So that was, I think, definitely an eye-opening moment for me. As in, yeah, they pretty much can do whatever they want at this point, and they have too much of a say, which I hope can change through some smart laws, like as you mentioned, Avinash, like they want,
50 plus
yeah,
one.
the 50+1, like as to
Yeah.
giving back some control to people who care most about the club. Uh, and one more quick thing I wanted to mention was like I was watching a lot of these fan forums, and it was mentioned that like some fans had confronted Stan Kroenke in US after a very big win that Arsenal had, and Stan Kroenke had no idea what game was the fan talking about or what the score was. So they are so disconnected from the sport, and it is, and football is a game of emotions, isn't? I think that
Yeah.
is precisely the reason all of us started
Yeah.
watching football and supported football. And like if your owner, the majority stake owner, has no interest in the game, it is just very scary for me to uh, think about it. And this was a living proof of that. So that is where I come from. I guess I that was my monologue rant, I guess.
No,
So I
I
agree
actually.
with
Oh,
Nisarg on the that emotions part. So when I started following City, right, it was in 2006. Uh, I remember that if like I used to see some of the like worst football back in the days, and for me, like a 1-0 win against United would be the highlight of my week. That yeah, okay, we won the derby, and I feel that if you don't go through those emotional rides, I think you cannot enjoy the sport. To enjoy the Premier League title in 2012, I had to witness those uh, progress from 2008 till 2011, and even then some of the games are like so cringeworthy that you would feel that why am I even supporting this team. But I think
why I
over a
used to.
period of time you strongly form that bond, and that is what then just I think the fans must have felt when this idea came out, that they
And that's
cannot just take away our club from us.
and that's the thing, right? Imagine if the Super League was in place, Man City wouldn't have been part of it back then. We
Yeah,
would probably never have been able to make it into that elite.
totally.
So
Yes.
if anybody can understand what these other clubs felt, it's probably Man City fans, right? The other 14.
Yeah.
Because even Chelsea, maybe going back 20 years, or Tottenham. Go ahead,
I,
Sheldon. You wanted to say something?
I was going to say that. I mean, I obviously share the same sentiment with regards to the ESL. I don't condone it. I feel like you mentioned earlier that any not. I mean, you need to have meritocracy practiced in sport. That's what makes it competitive, and that's what makes it worth watching. Uh, for a fan at least. Now, I do want to, there are certain things I want to bring up in the fact that I feel like UEFA, the FA are to be blamed, to be handing out this much power to these clubs owners right there. Like there is, what I'm going to talk about it as being a United fan. The fact that the Glazers were able to buy the club on debt, that should be a no-go to begin with. Like now, what's happening is that there's so many of these big clubs, especially due to the pandemic, are in so much of debt. Now, bar City, obviously, and Chelsea maybe. So a lot of these club owners or presidents, for that matter, are trying to recoup that money, the losses, the debt. For example, clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona are pretty much dying in debt. Like they are forced to sell players. Like what is the future? I mean, I'm not trying to back the whole ESL, but I'm just trying to understand over here. Like, okay, ESL is gone. Like everyone's not going to be. This is not going to happen. But what is going to, like, what's the next steps? Like, are we, is the transfer, like, the inflated transfer market, is that going to completely shoot down? I mean, people like Haaland are still being quoted at 150 million, which is ridiculous. And he's requesting like 500, half a million in wages. So, like, yes, the ESL is obviously something that we shouldn't have, but are UEFA doing justice to our sport? If
Yeah, I think that's a very important point because I don't think. Uh, so listen, the fans have done a great job. We've actually managed to sort of shut this down, and the reaction and the overall response has been amazing. But I don't think we should stop here. Like you said, Sheldon, actually, you can talk about the demerits of the ESL. You can talk about all these
yeah,
owners treating it as their own plaything, literally. Like, basically, who are they to take this sport? Who are they to you know create their own league? Who are they to sort of take control of the game? They have nothing. They are just the custodians of these football clubs. They didn't create those football
exactly.
clubs.
Yep,
They just
yep.
happened to buy it. They just saw an undervalued asset. They saw a business opportunity and they bought it. They have no right to just you know like, coming from me, from a Liverpool fan, right? All those European Cups, the 6 European Cups, the 18 league titles, what, you just take all that away? What happens to that? What happens to all that history? just and yeah, talking about that. So UEFA, right? I don't know how many of you. I think it's kind of slipped under the radar, the new format that they introduced,
Yeah,
which was kind
exactly.
of not that far off from a Super League. They basically added 4 more games. So these clubs have been pushing UEFA to basically get a bigger piece of the pie because they feel that they drive most of the revenue and they deserve, like, more money. Essentially, everything comes down to money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
of the Super League, I don't care what Florentino Perez says about helping the entire football pyramid. The very fact that he has the audacity to come out and say that. We all know what this is. They have been
yeah,
asking for this for a very long time, and UEFA passed this reform, and nobody even they they almost just went under the radar. And I think it's very important that, yeah, like I said, it was like basically 4 extra games. It was like supposed to be one big league, or I think it was two groups, and then there's playoffs, and there was like this 4 spots which are based on coefficient. Again, not based on merit. You could finish 10th in your league. You could get freaking relegated, but if you have a good enough coefficient, you could still make it. So it is not that far from the Super League.
Yeah.
And it's very important that we don't stop here and we actually take this fight on and make sure that this doesn't happen, because I sort of just ignored it, thinking that, okay, it's only come into effect in 2004. I
yeah,
remember thinking
yeah,
I might not even watch football after 2004 if this is going to happen. But we obviously didn't do enough because we've gotten into that habit of, we talk about these people being corrupt and greedy and all, but UEFA, FIFA, all of them are exactly that. That's exactly with the FA, all of them. Like the
yeah,
Premier League
yeah,
breaking away in
That's true.
1992 was all for money. Everything, the FIFA introducing the new Club World Cup, extended Club World Cup, that is money as well. Like,
So I was reading this on the news of the greed, right? The UEFA president who was talking about ESL and everything, he raised his own salary by I think half a million in during the pandemic here. So it's like, yeah, these
yeah,
guys are just there to make money. They don't care about the game. They don't
they
care
don't care
about
about the
the
fans,
fans.
right?
Yeah,
And all the, these Champions League finals, they literally almost 50% of the tickets go to sponsors and all these corporates and whatnot. And so the fans get to see such a small portion of it. Like, I'm not a match going fan as much as I'd love to be, but I can share the
yeah.
pain. Like, they spend all season, they
yeah,
travel all around Europe to watch these teams, and what do they get at the end of it?
true.
So really, this fight it has to be the start and not the end of it.
And one
Because
more
And the,
thing, one more common thing, right? As in, except for Manchester City, but like all these legacy clubs like Arsenal, especially Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United, right? Under these particular owners is where they have won the least. As in,
American owners,
yeah,
especially, that
yeah,
is
exactly, and it's
that is
like
a thing.
that's probably true for even other, and like it was an attempt to Americanize the sport. And I'm not, again, not against what happens here. It works here for a reason.
yeah,
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was always meant to be about, it was not meant to be about the emotion. Here it was always a franchise from the get-go.
right.
It was
Yeah,
yes,
it was
exactly.
it was never a club that was like raised from the people in that place and became what it was. So
Yeah.
True.
there is a merit to what the system here is, but it did not start the same way as football started back in Europe. So you cannot just decide one fine day that okay, we are just going to remove all the emotions out of the sport. We are going to play. I'm pretty sure that if that this would have transpired, Manchester United would have played in Beijing and in Shanghai and in Delhi and whatnot, just to
I
get
think
more
fans would
glow.
have stopped watching it.
Yeah,
I
I
would have stopped watching all the games for City
honestly,
yeah,
for
and
sure.
we were considered to be
honestly, I
legacy
feel
fans, right? As in like
Uh,
yeah, legacy fans don't
That was a
matter.
seriously,
fancy term.
honestly,
Yeah.
how they can come up with a term like that? Yeah,
no,
go ahead,
but
Sheldon.
I was going to say that I feel that the owners, they thought that the fans would actually be happy with the fact that, oh, you know what, we are going to see our teams play at the highest level against the big teams, especially Arsenal. I'm pretty sure Arsenal, they Stan Kroenke was like, oh, you know what? Arsenal's not hasn't made it in the Champions League for the past whatever
5 years.
years. Yeah, 5 years, and now they're going to be playing regularly with the likes of Barcelona and stuff. So fans are going to be ecstatic about watching these games and stuff. And they didn't even. I think they completely they missed the whole human element. The
Yeah.
which comes back to the point by how disconnected they are with with the fans, with the club itself, and the entity it is. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was going to say on the topic of that thing. So yeah, Sheldon, Nisar, yeah, the Americanization of it, right? So you'd have probably seen like a Super Bowl at the
Yeah.
end of it, and you'd have Shakira
Exactly.
performing at halftime, and that's just, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say.
I was so on Twitter, there were some discussion threads which said that uh, the American owners are not able to, milk the clubs like they do in America. Like you can have, those cards, baseball cards.
Yeah,
Have you guys know,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Okay.
baseball cards, and there is one website which also sells these NFT tokens
Hmm.
for these American clubs. So I think the idea was that you just bring them to America and just milk them like
Hmm.
crazy,
Yeah,
and no regards given to the fans. And the funny thing is, I will tell you one thing, like even though City suffered, like everyone suffered in the pandemic, right? But I know that for this season City did raise the season ticket prices, so eventually they are trying to compensate whatever losses they are making via
Yeah,
fans. So that's again just goes to say that the club owners are
Yeah,
like, I think the fans are at the bottom of the chain.
yeah,
They don't care
yeah,
about fans,
yep.
yeah.
Bottom of the
and
pyramid.
that's
And
the sad part.
and yeah, as in like just imagine like how as in we all support clubs that are going to be part of this, but like just imagine thinking from a fan who doesn't support these clubs. It would be
Yeah,
infuriating. As in, I think what really upset the apple cart for these big six was Leicester City winning the Premier League. I think that really just put the plans back for everything because it was like it came out of nowhere. It was a
Yeah,
perfect fairy tale. Like this is what sports fans
true,
like love
true.
and wish that it would happen to their teams. And
yeah,
Yeah,
as in, I know that like being even a United fan, I was like just thrilled to just realize that okay, Leicester City won the league. As in, what a story that was, and that just put a dent into these like great ideas of these six.
egos.
Yeah, this egos
yeah.
exactly. Ego is the right word.
agreed.
So yeah, I feel that Leicester City did a very big service to like the greater football community in general.
And I also actually don't agree with this term called top six, because I think Spurs. I don't know how Spurs has just
It's
sneaked
just a
into
big
this,
six.
but it's
Yeah,
just like, yeah, Big Six just doesn't make
yeah, it's
sense.
not a top six anymore. And yeah,
It's
like you
like,
mentioned, Leicester and West Ham this season getting into the Champions League. Imagine if they don't even like they won't be able to get in.
yeah, yeah,
You finish in
true.
the top four, you do all that. I mean, it's just
And
and
yet they will never be considered part of the top six, even though we say, yeah, Big Six and
yeah,
whatnot. But
yeah,
if West Ham and Leicester make it into top six, we won't consider them as like top six.
right.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
So it's
It
all
goes
money
back
driven.
to exactly. It
It's
goes
all
back to what Sheldon said, right? It shouldn't stop here. It should talk about the reforms that these organizations have to make, and also
yeah,
we need to
I agree.
start seriously thinking about limiting the money in the game, because it's literally killing the game. The salary cap, the wages, the agent fees, like the transfer fees, it's just spiraling out of control, and
Yeah.
so many things have to be looked at. And yeah, before, one last thing I wanted to discuss was also the execution of it, right? You mentioned like they didn't listen to the fans and all of that. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. 3 years of planning for this, it's like somebody, like, it's like, it seemed like a school project. Like the website that they launched, it was just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what they thought, how they thought they were going to pull this off. And I have a feeling that, I don't know, but I just have this feeling that they actually had some sort of approval from FIFA.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was kind of
I've
like
heard
a
that.
nod and a
Yeah.
wink, if because the way the FIFA came out and the statement they made about, they said something like, we will not back a closed shop breakaway league.
Yeah.
So the wording was very sort of, there was a loophole there,
Mm-hmm.
because technically it wasn't a closed shop, because they did say that they'd have 5 teams who would come in and go, however. So because otherwise, I just cannot see how this would have gone through. And FIFA have actually had their eye on Europe for a while, because they know the money is there. All this new Club World Cup that they were proposing and all
Yep.
was
Yep.
part of the plan to get a piece of the pie. So this goes way deeper, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
And
shouldn't think that this will just go away.
and yeah, one more thing, right? As in, like we talked about disregard of the fans, but this was also disregard to the players, managers, everyone. Like they were like here
Yeah,
now you have like 20
yeah,
teams, which means that you are playing
True.
literally every midweek, and and then they
yeah.
did not plan to go out of Premier League. As in, they still wanted to milk that cow
Mm.
and have FA and have Carabao Cup and have this. As like, okay, do you just think that the players are just machines and they just keep on playing and playing and playing? As in, we have already seen in this season
It's
almost
happening, right? It's happening.
every single
But
Yeah,
manager's complaining about this, right? So this is just
Yeah.
but
yeah,
Nisarg, I was just going to say, just to add, since you're on that topic, I feel that what would have happened is that they would have prioritized the midweek games and had like reserve players play in the league.
pretty sure because the
yeah.
Premier League didn't doesn't mean
Totally.
for anything except for winning the
There
Premier
is no
League.
merit anymore, right?
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
So
except
This is
for winning
exactly
the
what happened with the FA Cup, right?
yeah.
Once the
Yeah.
Premier League became the thing it became, and once the Champions League expanded and the top four came about, the money increased. Premier League will go just the way of the FA Cup.
Yeah,
It's so obvious, like what would happen.
that's true.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just how it is.
What else?
So, yeah, I don't know.
at least
You
it is
guys have
good
a,
to know that everyone is on the same page. All the fans, all the pundits, all the managers,
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
was
as
actually
in the
same
really surprised
page.
protest,
that.
the protest again outside of Arsenal was for the Arsenal game
everywhere,
was
right?
yeah,
Chelsea
Yeah.
game
Chelsea
and
game and Arsenal.
Even
Chelsea.
Liverpool, right? I mean,
outside
even
leagues.
Liverpool
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
fans
Yeah,
Leeds,
went to
Liverpool,
the
Leeds.
stadium.
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
Um,
yeah. As
I
in,
think this.
like I think everyone like even if we are not like probably match going fans, we should do our part in making sure that like either the owners just go out or like there are more institutional changes in to ensure that this doesn't happen again or nothing
Yeah.
even remotely close to this happens again.
yeah. I think
Interesting.
FSG. Go ahead, yes.
No, I was just saying that, on that part of the owners, I was reading some of the, uh, I was reading, I think Spotify CEO tweeted today saying that he's
Mm.
an Arsenal fan and he's willing to, if Arsenal owners are ready to sell, he can come in and buy the club or something like that he put in.
But
So
Or have
Yash,
we
I
should
mean,
have a GameStop like thing, just buy stocks.
but here's the thing though. Do we at the end of the day, do we want another billionaire buying the club? I
no,
mean,
but
at
he's
the
a
end of
fan
the
of the
day,
club as well. It's not
I
just
I
that
understand
is what I think
that,
you were
but
trying to say.
no, but what I'm trying to get at is that a business is
Yeah,
after all a business. I mean, a billionaire is become a billionaire because he's not. I'm sure he's been cutthroat in making certain business decisions and stuff
like
like that.
like I said, they just see an asset
Yeah,
which can
exactly,
produce money, and
exactly.
that's
Which is why it is so
fundamentally against.
important to have the 50+1 in place. But here's the question for you guys to think about. When you do have the 50+1, do you think City is going to go around buying 500 million, spending 500 million on defenders, or would that cut down on that kind of spending if we had the 50+1? I mean, because not every
Definitely.
club is able to afford.
I
I
don't
think so,
know.
yeah. I mean,
And
that's kind of the thing, right? We've created this
yeah, as in
with
it's
the kind of money
in a
that's
good way,
been
right? As in
these clubs have
then
spent.
it makes
Yeah,
sense that
yeah,
Yeah,
you have your youth system where players are coming in through, which means that like yeah, the pyramid actually is working as a pyramid,
yep,
where players, upcoming players, will get the chance to showcase their talent at higher stages, and that is how it used to work before this too
I just feel
like
that at
ridiculous
least fans
inflation
will have
happened.
a say. I don't know how it will pan out. Maybe fans want to spend 500 million, okay, but at least they will have a say. That's what I see it as. So
yeah,
So
that's the important step.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a wider debate, I think, where we go from here. But I
Yep.
think, yeah, as fans, we can only do our bit and speak out and express our
yeah,
opinions. And I think that's why it was important for us to have this call and air our opinions on what we think. So yeah, attention will turn back to the Premier League. So
Yeah.
we shall probably come back. Hopefully, we can. The top four race is hopefully means something again, and
yes,
it's kind of back on. Although I think Liverpool dropped points, and everything was overshadowed, I think, by the this
Yeah.
whole Super League saga. So let's hope that normalcy returns and we see more changes. We see fans having more of a voice. We see changes made at all levels of these football clubs, and yeah, this could be a change. This could be a catalyst because this could be a change for the better, a catalyst for change if we really want to. And let's hope that actually happens and it just doesn't die down like so many
yeah,
of the other
yeah.
things that we've seen. So yeah, thanks for joining us. As
yep,
usual, we forgot to mention at the start. Please do
Like,
subscribe and yeah, keep motivating us to make more videos and talk about more such topics because I'm sure there will be, and we do plan to cover some of these as they come up in the future. So thanks for joining us and hope to see you next time with more Premier League action. Thanks. Bye.